Welcome back to the Elevate Media Podcast. I'm Chris Anderson, your host, and today we're going to dive right into why branding is so important for legacy and sales just get you money. So we've got an expert to talk about just that, Ruben Alvarez. He is the CEO of Marketing Hunters. He's based out of El Paso, Texas, and he just does amazing things with Thrive in Your City and all his marketing businesses and clients he helps out, as well as an author, if I didn't mention that already. His brand new book, The Black Book of Branding. So Ruben, welcome back to the podcast, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. People call me the big brand shark too, as well. Yeah. And people's me. I'm the one that. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, thanks for having me on the show, man. I appreciate it.
For sure, man. It's always good chatting with you and just learning more from you and being able to share that with others. So, talking about the Marketing Hunters and, the Black Book of Branding, what, I guess, led you to writing your new book here?
Yeah, so Black Book is something that I've been wanting to write for like 3 years now. 3 years, like the whole theory of it. And, what's funny is that I finally finished it with AI, right? And the reason that I finished it with AI is because I feel like my patience is not all there to deal with like editors more than anything and on other people's timelines, right? So like all I needed was to be able to organize my thoughts and make sure that I wasn't contradicting myself in other places. And so for that, it's like you really do need a second person or a brain or somebody who's checking your work. Yep. The hard part is that me being, as impatient as I am and that type A personality of like, go. Yep. If I send it to an editor and then in my mind, this is what I'm thinking. I'm going to find an editor. I'm going to think he's good. What if I send it to him and then he sends it back in 2 days, but he changes everything? Okay. Right. But if he's fast, but he changes everything, I'm like, I don't like his tone anymore. Right. So then what if I have to do like revision after revision, he still doesn't get me? Then I have to find another editor. What if the editor actually is good, but if he tells me 2 days and it's 7 and I have to be on him? That's going to piss me off, right? So I'm like, you know what? I just don't know if I want to do this, right?
Yeah.
What's cool and what also sucks about it is that even though I had the second brain now, it took so long for me to do this that certain examples that I wanted to use in the book originally are no longer relevant. Like I really wanted to use Kanye because I love the way that he like came up, and I can't use him anymore. Yeah. And then I love McGregor, right? And then he recently was in a scandal, but like these people had like really, really good brands and the way that they came up, their mentalities and stuff. But because it took a while, like I wasn't able to use them in the book.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You might be able to use a different story from them now to share things, but no, we don't want to do that. But why branding? Why is that the main kind of premise? Why is that so important for businesses, especially nowadays with AI out there?
Yeah. Well, with branding, the main thing is that most people know how, especially with AI, they know how to create media and they know how to create certain things that they can push out very quickly, right? And especially with AI now speed has become incredibly easy for you to do things, right? Yeah. It's funny because I remember this is a little bit different with AI, but in the beginning, people used to love doing social media with posts, and then video came out and there was this gap where people didn't want to do video. Yeah. So we as marketers had to keep trying to push and promote the idea of video, right? With pictures, what ended up happening was that it became very easily for people to post pictures. So they wanted to do pictures, and that's what became easy. Yeah. So right now, the gap is very similar in which people are choosing to do very fast media, whether it be pictures, videos, creation, everything. But the messaging and the actual branding and the reason that people will watch and the reason why they put stuff out is getting lost because people are choosing speed over everything else.
Yeah. And why is that such a bad road to head down?
Because then it's with anything, supply and demand, right? So the moment that everybody starts doing the exact same thing, people start ignoring the thing that there's too much of. So right now there's too much supply of people putting out stuff to put stuff out. I mean, there's certain people that are doing videos in a very specific way that used to be creative. And the way that you could do that creative now becomes something that you can do in CapCut that'll automatically do it. So you could spew out millions of videos in the exact same creative way that used to take forever. And so that's what's going to get ignored, right? Mm-hmm. I actually noticed that there's a few things that people love doing right now. I think that some of the ones that they're really looking for is, the AI generated content, right? Which is like the babies talking about stuff, the gorillas, all that stuff. But if there's going to be a downside to that, which I think within the next 6 months to a year, people are going to be like, I don't want to watch AI stuff anymore. I want to watch people stuff because they're going to realize that AI is taking jobs from humans, right? It's going to be like this favoritism.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is public. People love watching stuff in public. Like the more public that you can make it, the more that people want to watch it.
What do you mean by that, by more public? Like just those people who go out and do the stupid stuff in public that get recorded? Is that what you're meaning?
I mean, that or like, let's say that you're a painter and you're painting in public and then you could see people in the background and you're just doing it in public. I feel like, I don't know why people love seeing people in public, just outdoors, outside, around others.
It's interesting. I wonder if it has to do a little bit of like the short attention spans because there's so much else things happening that aren't directly related that people are like, oh, what was that? Oh, wait, I missed the video. Like
that curiosity of it. Like, where's he at? Do I know it? It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that because like I watched a guy on TikTok who sells watches and he would go somewhere and he would sit with a timer and someone would have to run up and say, love your journey, and they would get a free watch. So like people would be like, where is he? And like those things just crushed. And it was really cool to see. And he didn't do anything. He just sit there with the timer and then people were like, how long is it going to take someone to get there? And where is he? And all this stuff. So yeah, I think that's a big piece to it. And being in kind of video production, marketing as well, we've seen a lot more with like the user generated content and native stuff doing really well in tandem with the professionally shot stuff as well. Have you seen that kind of where you're at too?
I've noticed that anything that there's a thing, right? Like it says like if everybody is zigging, you want to zag, right?
Yeah.
We've noticed that anything that has to do with, as long as it's not cringe, right? Because I feel like that's the correct word right now for everybody who's watching the bulk of the content. It's like, as long as it's not cringe. So if you do something that's completely different, but you could tell that it's staged or fake, you could tell that, like there was no thought behind it. Like because fake content works, right? Like fake content totally works.
Yeah.
But it works if people know that you don't care that they know it's fake. But the moment that you try too hard, so I've noticed that the way out of the left field stuff that most people don't expect you to do, I think that that's what usually does well. Like if you look at like barbers, right? Like barbers do have a lot of like the same type of style of content nowadays, right? Where it's like, people think that you're ugly. No, you're not, blah, blah, blah. Right. But I think that it's very easy for you to say like, I went to a homeless shelter and I cut 10 people's hair today. Right. Instead of just the one, right. Where you go up to Blake, can I cut your hair? But you do 10 or something like that in a day. And then you do one video, like that video could take off way more than the other one. But if you're like, hey, you know what? Like I actually went and I went to the people that are on their deathbed and I talked to them and then I gave them a cut and then I like showed them, like there's certain things like that I think are like very different that doesn't have a lot to do with what you're actually talking about, but that really hits people on a different psychological level.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing trying to think of it and like getting to the psychological level of what you're actually putting out there. Because like I think posting the just post is probably hindering brands more than helping. We've seen people who are posting just random like joke pictures, like they're supposed to be funny, but I'm like, that just looks so bad and makes your brand look so cheap and not professional.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, but it's kind of the equivalent to 2019-ish when things kind of started changing to video. But back then, people that wanted to fill in posts, they would do quotes of other people. Like they would have like Zig Ziglar and stuff like that. So you would have you would have the law companies that would be quoting like Zig Ziglar, or they would be quoting who was another one of the old ones, like Tony Robbins and stuff like that. It's like it was like their Monday motivation or something like that. Yeah. Like it did nothing. You know what I mean? Like like you would have like 2 or 3 likes and they thought that they were doing something. So it's really funny to see, marketing go full circle because people make the same mistakes just with the new tools that they have available.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned marketing there. So like your book's about branding. What's the difference for people who don't know between branding and marketing?
Yeah, well, I think that there is different branches to everything, right? Like there's the branding side, there's the advertisement side, there's the content creation, there's like the running the actual ads on different platforms, right? Branding, I think, is the overarching thing that everybody does regardless of whether they're advertising, marketing, or anything else. And it's basically the reason that people give favoritism to your brand, right? It's the reason that there's actual value behind what you do. So even if you're just like, well, I just run ads all day long, but like the ads are probably going to your website, like for even e-com, right? The e-com, it goes straight to a website. How you developed and built that website, how you place the pictures on the website, that's all the brand. So you're branding regardless of what you do, And so that's what most people don't realize is that like the feeling, the emotion, what you want people to believe, the psychological triggers is really what the brand is. So like the book, everybody, I tell them like it's a branding book, it's a, marketing book, but there's so much psychological stuff in here that the book really is like, what can you learn from the book? You can learn how to get people to believe whatever you want them to believe on the book.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to look at it because people, like I said, they post things that don't match their brand to just post and think they're funny and or think, whatever. And where do you see kind of in the next 6 months kind of being some things, trends that people would hop on to help grow their presence? The native stuff, I know you mentioned like being in public, things like that. Anything else that you see? I mean, because we hear, carousels are big on Instagram again, or, short videos still. Like, from your vein of things, what do you see?
The biggest one that I see is YouTube. I don't think that there's a direct number of videos that you can post that will, I don't know if disrupt is the correct word, that will actually they'll go against and they'll be like, you're posting too much, right? Like on Instagram,
Right.
absolutely, because it's based on followers, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's not really showing it to people if your followers aren't liking it.
Yeah.
But on YouTube, there's no, oh man, I wish I could think of the correct word for this, but they're not penalizing you
Yeah.
for posting too many shorts.
Yeah.
What it is, because it's showing it to the mass audience more than it's showing it to your subscribers, right? So I think that that's a very big area of opportunity right now. I mean, everything I think is going back to being more simple. I think that there's a lot of simplicity in like what's Instagram, in Facebook, TikTok. I don't know if you saw it, but they're taking a lot of the monetization away from its creators right now without them saying any reason why.
Yeah.
On YouTube, I'm seeing a lot more ads. On Spotify, like I don't want to pay for any services because I don't listen to music very often. And when I do, I'm just like, I'll just listen to like Spotify or something because I'm listening to audiobooks. But on Spotify, I realize that they're doing 5 to 6 ads before they go to the next. I'm not saying like every song, but they'll give you like 5 or 6 songs and the ads start and then 5 or 6 songs. I'm like, bro, this is like radio at this point. You know what I mean? Like,
I feel like
radio would take forever to hear songs again. So I think that the economy is definitely starting to affect everybody because why else would they be doing that many ads? Obviously, they have to try to make more money. So it's like your ads going to be shown to more people a lot faster. But I think that with that, you have to look at like the way that whenever ads start playing more into things, that means that people are looking for more organic content, right? And so it's like they're looking for good organic content because they're trying to get away from the ads. So I think that there's a very big push towards simplicity that's going to come by because they're tired of watching ads because there's so many being forced down their throat right now.
Yeah, which is crazy because even on the streaming like video services, you start seeing more and more ads there, and it's like, Mike, didn't we get rid of cable because of this? Like, isn't this why we started getting rid of cable back in the day? And so, it's interesting to see that shift. And that's why we try to guide people. Like, even when we shoot stuff, obviously, if it's for social media, we want to keep it, as simple as possible and make it look like that native shot type video. So it, and I just saw like they're changing, it looks like the specs on Instagram again to a different ratio. And I don't know. But just trying to match the platforms and just, I think, keeping it simple. I think we overthink it way too much.
Yeah.
On what we're trying to do. What are some ways branding can be solidified going forward with AI? Are there anything people can use to help them with their branding outside of ChatGPT?
I don't think so. I think that people just don't know how to use chat very correctly.
Yeah.
Right. That's all it is. And I think that it's because most people are giving the advice of like, pretend you're a brand expert. Right. And it's like, what defines a brand expert, right? Like how many are there? Like what are some marketers that you look up to?
Gary Vee obviously is a big one. Lewis House is not a marketer, but I like how he does stuff and puts stuff out there. So those would be kind of 2 ones that I look at.
Yeah. I don't know if you've heard of him, Rory Sutherland.
I have not, no.
Yeah, he talks more on high level marketing and the psychological stuff that I've kind of been talking about.
Yeah.
And so with him, what I really like is that there's an example that he gave that it's always like one of the ones that most people like know, and which is they're putting like 5 to 10 million to make a train faster, right? So that's one way of looking at a problem of like people hate trains because they're slow.
Yeah.
He's like, but if you kept the train slow and you invested in high speed Wi-Fi, free movies, and attractive looking waitresses and waiters that would come and give you free drinks, that might cost you $1 million versus the $5 to $10 million investment, and people would be happier. And you'd probably get more people to ride the train.
Yeah.
He's like, so it's really the way that you look at things. So the reason that I bring up the marketers and stuff, right, is because most people think they know how to use ChatGPT, but they don't really know what they're trying to emulate.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's like, if you really want to use chat, why don't you ask it to emulate someone and how they would do something? True.
Yeah, it's a great point. Yeah, being super specific on what you're wanting and how you want it to output.
Yeah. And well, that's the thing, right? It's like, if you want to have a great brand, here's where I think people get lost in it though, because it's like, I know that somebody's going to hear this and they're going to do it correctly. Right. But
Yeah.
then when it comes time to actually do it, there's no part where they actually thought that this is exactly human psychology and not output. Right. And so that's where most people get stuck. They get stuck in I don't know how to do it. Now I know how to do it. Now I got to work instead of, I didn't know how to do it. Now I know how to do it. Now I got to think like a customer to see if they're going to respond to this before I do it. Because so many people are like, it doesn't work, but it's because you never actually stop to think about how humans think.
Yeah, I think that's probably a big miss on a lot of people, is not even thinking from the point of their customer. They just think like, oh yeah, I think this will work. I think this is going to be good. And not even thinking from the point of the people they're trying to serve and help.
Correct.
So how do we get better at that? Is that something, besides just asking your customers? Obviously we've heard, just go ask your customers and see what they say. And can we say, hey, ChatGPT, you're our customer, X, Y, and Z. What do you think of this? Is that something we can use now?
I do that at times, but I still like having raw data from real humans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like whenever you're about to do something, be like, hey, especially like, for example, if like you're a company that sells perfume to women, right?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And like half of your staff is women, half of it is men. Like, don't ask the men. You know what I mean? Like, go ask them, hey, like, we're about to launch this. What do you think?
Yeah.
So would you be likely to buy it? They're going to probably say something dumb like, oh, yeah, of course I would buy it. Be like, why? Tell me why you would buy it. Tell me what is actually attractive about it. Tell me what you hate about it. Tell me like why you would not be wanting to buy it. Tell me like what price, before I tell you the price, tell me what price you think this would be at, right?
Yeah.
Like if we were going to double it, what would it have to be? Where would it have to be at, right? So like all this is like raw data from real humans.
Yeah.
That's the type that I love. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I like actually getting, I like getting actual feedback of people. And I tell them like, dude, if it's ugly, I need you to tell me it's ugly. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah. Yeah. Cause we have like our own bias behind it. And that's all like I want. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Just tell me the truth. And I think it's interesting too, like talking kind of about like real human interaction versus ChatGPT, because obviously we can go on nauseum about AI and stuff, and it's an ever growing thing and it's not going to go away. But to your point earlier you made, I think, down the road, 6 months, 12 months, maybe a little bit longer. Yeah, I think I still believe too that AI is going to get not boring, but people are going to get tired of seeing the AI generated things, and they're going to want that human interaction, that human connection. And that's why, we try to show businesses like your C-suite, like someone in your C-suite should have their face out there and build this trust with people now, because when people are tired of seeing the AI avatars, the AI created content, and they've been, building the trust with you as an individual, as a real person through live streams, through videos, through video podcasts, like, you're going to have the upper hand because they're going to know, like, and trust you, which is why I think it's so important for these individuals to have a social presence, public profiles that people can go and see what they're up to as a person.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to connect with Ruben in certain things that other people aren't, but that's going to make me want to buy from him versus other people kind of thing.
The other part is that everybody knows that there's a lot of jobs that are becoming susceptible to AI losing them, right? Yep. But here's the reality. It's like, if something goes wrong, do you want to talk to a robot?
Right. You want to talk to a person?
It's like, exactly. So it's like, what job is really the most stable and secure? It's the person that has to respond for the product.
Yep. Yeah. It's like when I was getting on the call to do something, and it's like these robo people like trying to help me. I can help you if you tell me more. I'm like, no, I just want to talk to a person. I just want to talk to a person. Person, 0 zeros. Give me to the operator.
Yeah. Representative. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and I think as we get more machines, AI, I think that need, that want, that intrinsic, like, that's within us as humans, that community nature type thing we're going to have and seek that more and more. So I can see, live events going back to being bigger thing. Obviously, like I mentioned, like the live content online, just in-person events. Like, I think that's going to start to ramp up, especially once the economy kind of, mellows out a little bit and gets back up a little bit and things of that nature.
I agree. Like, you'll feel deceived if you're on a call to find out that you're on with the robot, right? Like, I think some people won't care, right? But like, as long as you tell them. But I think most people are going to be like, no, like, I'm never doing business with you again. Like, you didn't tell me the whole time I thought I was talking with somebody, blah, blah, blah. So.
Yeah. At least for a while, right? I'm sure we'll get to the point maybe in our lifetime that'll be the norm. And in society, it'll look like iRobot or something where you don't have to really do much. And I don't know, but I think we got some time until then. Who knows though? So with people, where do you see the biggest mistakes when they're trying to really get their brand solidified? I mean, especially online, which is the biggest thing now.
The biggest mistake is not reading my book. No, the biggest mistake is that people don't know the difference of what they're actually trying to achieve. And so I think most people, like I have some that say, hey, well, I just want consistent posting. And I'm like, that's not true, because if you wanted consistent posting, then for 12 months you would stay on. You know what I mean? You would stay on with anybody. You would stay on with you, right? But consistent posting is like, after 30 days, what do you hear? Sales.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't got any inquiries. And it's like, well, you didn't want consistent posting. You know what I mean? It's like you really wanted sales. And then there's other people that are like, oh, like my insights are down and my views are down. And it's like, okay, but like, why does that matter? You know, it's like, tell me, what are your sales at? Like, did your sales go down? Oh no, they're up 3%. It's like, then why does it matter? You know? So it's like, I think that there's a big problem with humans in not knowing the exact true way to measure what marketing does. Right? Because if it is brand awareness, it's like, that's your insights. Your insights should be going up. They should be doubling, tripling, whatever it is.
Right.
And through that as well, your inquiries should be going up. It doesn't mean that your sales are going to go up, but your inquiries should be going up. Your engagement should be going up. It should be more people asking about your stuff, wondering about it, curious about it. If you're looking for direct conversion, right? Most people want both, and this is the problem. If you're looking for direct conversion, then it's really ads. It's a little bit of content. It's maybe like 1 to 2 per month, and then it's mostly ads. If you want both, the issue is that you're going to be paying for both.
Exactly.
And most people want to pay for one in both.
Maybe
and then the problem is that when you split the budget, that's when usually you run into issues.
For sure. And that's the biggest thing, like understanding what you really need. And that's true, like, as well, because you could have the best campaign. You could be doing the best content, having the best pipeline. But if you can't close, whether that be your salespeople or there's just a gap at the end and you're losing so many people out of your funnel, then everything else, it doesn't matter. Like, you could have the best everything going forward, but then if you can't close it at the end of the day, I mean, you got to fix those problems. And so it's and that's why I think it's, people don't understand, it's such a big encompassing thing. Like, you can't just post, like you can't just get more content and it's going to fix all the problems. So how do we encompass all that? And how do businesses figure that all out? You know, how do they make sure that they got their brand on point, that it's going to flow, you know, to getting more sales?
I've learned that there's a few different types of companies, and I think that the owners need to figure out who they belong in, right? What the bucket is that they belong in. It's like, are you a business owner that gets sales and wants marketing to find new places for you to sell, right? Or build out like that new system and funnel, right? And I think that most people need to realize that if you are looking just for straight raw leads, you can get them from day one with the right campaign on Google or Facebook. Like, you don't really need a campaign. You don't really need a lot of thought or acknowledgement as to what you're going to be running, right? If you're looking for like a long-term foundational thing where like, hey, you know what, like my salespeople aren't selling, but we're still getting leads in, you're probably looking at 6 to 12 months before you can build that out, because that's like we had talked about, that's more of a branding approach, right? That's more like you getting in front of people. That's your Google reviews going up. That's like a lot of content going out daily so that people are seeing you. That's different partnerships. That's collaborations with other businesses. That's like local pages shouting you out. That's ads. Like, that's a whole campaign.
For sure.
And so it's like, what type of business owner are you? And I think that right now, and be real, right? Like, if you're a type of business owner that realistically you just want leads, then you can't really come in expecting, you know, the whole thing. Because, and I'm not saying this from a perspective, you know, like a lot of home marketers be like, well, you got to know what, that is not it. It's, if you have a budget of $1,000 and you have a company that's making, you know, a profit of like, let's say a very good $400, which is not, it's not realistic, right? But $400. And then you're like, but I want more content. So now that budget starts going into the profit, right? And the profit's going to be less and less and less. So once the profit becomes less and less, it's really hard for you to do other things. And so the realistic part of marketing is like, you have to leave enough profit for a business to be able to maintain that happen for everybody else, but still wanting to work on your stuff at a high enough level to guarantee or get your result. And so if the idea is like, I want to pay for marketing, but not leave a profit, then you should do the marketing and take the risk,
Sure.
not in a way of like, oh, well, if that's what you want, but realistically, it's like there needs to be a winning solution for everyone. And if there is no winning solution for everyone, then you should take the risk yourself and do it yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's what the whole point of marketing is like somebody else kind of took the risk and knows kind of where they're going to maneuver and go into.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. I think you have to know where you're at with everything and what you're trying to build, because you could have like build a foundation or just build the quick kind of pipeline sort of thing.
Yeah.
And tandem is great if you can. But yeah, I think it's just an interesting, evolution of what we've seen even, since you and I have, started business and things, of how things have changed. And, with AI hopping in and with all the economy stuff we've battled through and with everything else, like it's just an interesting thing to see the path of how everything's kind of changed, but also stayed the same kind of, which I think is just kind of cyclical cycle of how it all works. So, but no, Ruben, this has been great. I think diving into this is hopefully people check out your book so they can dive even more into the branding and the psychological stuff and getting, everything you want from your business and things.
Yeah. I just wanted to say so the easiest way if somebody does get into it is you can read the whole thing, right? Like I've had a few people tell me that they can read the whole book in a day, and they have, and I'm like, I don't know if I just take offense to that or if that's you know what I mean. But the way that I like doing it is like, because I did this and look at the chapters, and there's gonna be one that sticks out to you, and I think that's the one that you should start with reading and actually doing, because there's so much that you can do, right? But like for me, it was like the art of repetition, and like I don't know if you've seen, but like literally that's why you brought up the book, and I was like, I have the book, right? And so I want people to see the book, and so I've made it a point to have people know that the book exists and people post about it and stuff like that. And so, we don't think of branding in like a very low term. We always think of it in a very high term. And the high term is like, oh, the emotion has to stick correctly and blah, blah, blah. But branding really is just repetition as well, and how often people see you. And that's a part of branding that like we kind of dismiss. And you can see it with authors. You can see it with people when they release a new product or whatever. They're like, all right, cool. I've talked about it enough. It's going to get annoying, or even I'm getting annoyed of it. And it's like, realistically, it doesn't matter if you post it every single day and people see it and they start ignoring it, it doesn't matter as long as they're seeing it every day. That is part of the branding and the brand. Like literally you being able to put it in front of people every single day so it becomes familiar to them.
Yeah, 100%. And now last question with that made me think, do you think it's a necessity to do paid ads to grow your brand quicker?
Absolutely. The ad game right now, especially because we're talking about AI, content has been automated. Pretty much, right? And I'm not saying I should clarify, it's been automated, but it doesn't mean it's good. It just means it's good very fast.
Yes.
Content has been automated, but the one thing that hasn't been is that like it's the same thing with having a salesperson. If you get sick, what happens? Your whole business goes at a standstill.
Right.
So if you don't create content and you don't have ads running in the back end, what happens? Your business goes on a standstill.
Yep.
So that's why ads is very crucial, because it's like you have something that's running and working for you 24/7.
Yeah. And I think it's a preference that make sure you have, everything ready. Don't just put an ad out there. Make sure you know where the end result you want. Make sure you have it set up, and whether it be just to your website, to your social profiles, or maybe it's a landing page or something like that. Make sure you know the path and make it super simple. So but Ruben, been great, man. Always love chatting with you. Kind of end with this kind of question. It's kind of a deep question, but if everything was done, you were done here on Earth, and everything you did was gone, erased, except one thing, what would that one thing you would want to be left for everyone to remember?
My kids. Yeah. I got it in because I bundled them as one, but yeah. I love my kids. The more I get older, right, the more I realize that everything we build, we probably don't see in our own lifetime, right? Like even if you look at Cardone, right, like he's too old to really enjoy a lot of the stuff that he built. So everything that we do is really for the next generation, honestly.
The leader plants the seed for a tree he'll never see the shade of, or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, cool, man. Well, hey, where can people connect with you, learn more from you, and get your help needed?
Yeah, Instagram is my hub, so I am Ruben Alvarez. You can try LinkedIn. You can try Facebook. My phone number is, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, I think Instagram's the easiest one.
Cool. Perfect. Yeah, everyone, make sure you connect with Ruben, continue to learn from him, get his book. It's a great one. Yeah, I've known Ruben for years now, and he's doing great stuff. So Ruben, again, always a pleasure. Thanks for being on the show, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, man.
For sure. And if you're listening to this and you know someone who's starting their business, trying to get it figured out or off the ground, share this with them. We can help so many more people together doing that. And make sure you follow the show for the same reasons. But until next time, go out there, continue to elevate your life, elevate your brand, and we'll talk to you again soon.